Welcome to Touched and Empowered, a show created to empower individuals to value their lives by hosting think tank discussions that will inspire positive action. Touched and Empowered with Katie and Ace starts now.
So welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. This is one of those days that it's just, you know what? We're just going to go for it.
Yes, you're actually talking about making sure you do what you say you're going to do no matter what and being flexible. And then Katie was like, yeah, honoring your commitments. And I am honoring my commitment today to coming onto this recording.
So for those of us who are just listening, Ace is currently not home. So she's somewhere else. She has a very colorful background that is moving, but we can't tell what's going on because it's all blurred out. So later on, Katie might make random comments about what the heck is. Never mind. We're gonna move on. But the point of the matter is that you and I both hold this time sacred because we honor not only our commitment to each other, but to our listeners, because we want to make sure that we do what we say we're going to do. And I think it's more than just the podcast. I think you and I both do that in everything we do.
Everything we do, everything. And the moment that I start slipping on that, I don't feel stable.
Yeah, other things in my world go wonky when I don't do that. Now, I will make it clear that I reserve the right to change my mind.
That is pure consent, and that's freedom. You're allowed to, yes.
As long as I remember to inform everyone that it impacts that I changed my mind.
and you know, you fairly kind of like reciprocate the change of the change in decision.
Yeah, because it's one thing that, like, for example, we have this time set aside every week where we do the recording. But if something came up, like, for example, I lost power, as long as I tell you what's going on, then everything's perfectly okay. Okay. If I just don't show up, then that's just wrong.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And it's funny because I remember telling Katie, I was like, I'm having internet issues this one time, or maybe twice, I forgot. But it was perfectly fine because we did all of these recordings.
And the one time that we were in the middle of doing an episode and you lost internet and left, I just kept right on talking to myself. But then again, I'm kind of used to talking to myself.
Yeah. No, it is interesting, and it's fine. You just kind of keep rolling with it. And sometimes that actually makes like the best creativity. Being able to be
lets
flexible.
Everyone know we're human.
Yeah, and it's okay that it's not perfect before you perform or do something.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because trying to be perfect is exhausting. You never get anything done.
Yep.
And it's exhausting.
Because you're always trying to please. You don't grow. Exactly.
Yeah. You don't grow, and you're always trying to please somebody else instead of pleasing yourself.
Right. Sometimes it doesn't have to be. And like, trust me, when you're naturally just doing things, flowing with it. Apparently, I look gorgeous. Thank you, Katie. I'm really, thank you. I'm really flowing it.
You're dressed up today. I'm here in a plain blue shirt. Well, it's not plain blue. I got a little bit of lace going on, but you are all dressed up. Okay, the lace is on the sleeve of the shirt. It's not like I'm showing anything. You, however, are showing off your tattoos.
I am actually, yeah. So this dress is actually very fascinating. I love Rent the Runway, by the way. It could actually have sleeves. But
oh no, that's cute.
Right? Isn't that cool? But it's too hot. So we're gonna be flexible.
Okay. Again, we're gonna point out Ace is on the other side of the country than I am, so it may be hot where she is. It's cold where I am. How do I know? Because I have a blanket over my legs.
Yeah, it is like close to 90 degrees in LA right now, and it is hot.
Yeah, it's like below 50 where I am right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't commit to that. I had to change my mind and come to the West Coast, but I understand.
I know you understand because you have been in New Jersey and you lived there for a while.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that besides holding to our commitments, overcome, adapt. That's the other thing that I've noticed that we do a lot is we find a way to make it work. And I
You
don't
do
know
it
which
well.
branch of the military uses overcome and adapt. It sounds like a military thing to me right now, but it doesn't matter
Interesting.
because I don't know. To me, it's more MacGyver than military. But
Yeah, I've always, so when I was younger, right? It probably is a military thing, and I probably got it from my sister in the Air Force. But I remember like somebody saying, "This is the goal," and then all I knew was like, "Okay, this is the goal. Get the goal done."
okay, so this is the goal. All right, so get the goal, but no clue on how to get there.
Sometimes you knew, sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you had to maneuver around things to get it to work, and that's how I understood it. The goal needs to be completed by X time,
Okay, yeah,
right?
and if you're not given any instructions, then you adapt and create and test and retest and everything until you get there.
Yeah, you acknowledge your resources, you acknowledge what resources you do need, and if you can get them, and if you can't get them, then you're stuck with what you got, and you're gonna get it done.
Right.
That's like that's how I think about it, and it was interesting because like saying you're stuck with what you got was one thing. Another was like you have stuff. They're all pretty like that the stuff is usable. Something can be usable to accomplish the goal by X time.
Yes, and not all things are created equal. And I can say that with pure certainty because I've got a great example. And my sister's going to yell at
Ooh.
me for it, but I'm not going to say which sister it is. One of my
Okay.
sisters, back when we were teenagers, one of my sisters was in the mood to make banana bread, but we
Mm.
didn't have any sugar in the house. But we had plenty of sweet and low, which is an artificial sweetener,
Oh, sorry.
which is a lot sweeter than sugar, even though it does have a funky aftertaste. My sister, in her infinite wisdom, did equal parts.
You were the third
She
person to say
opened
that.
she opened up the individual packets of sweet and low to fill up the measuring cup to however much quote unquote sugar she was supposed to use and put that in the banana bread. That was toxic banana bread. It was horrible.
I'm so sorry.
So,
Oh,
yes, it's great to use what resources you have to accomplish what your goal is, but understand that if you use those resources improperly, you're going to end up with something kind of nasty.
so this is when the rules are like a little bit bendable here. It's okay to wait if it's that
Yes.
much of a change. Like if you have to wait to get sugar, perfectly fine. Just you can try something else that can
Yeah.
accomplish the
I mean,
same goal.
I'm sure there's something else that she could have made besides banana bread, like oatmeal or something. But no,
For
that
goodness.
she was determined that was what was going to get done, and it was done. It just was not executed very well.
Oh heaven almighty. Okay, yeah, no, that's another. Yeah, sorry. All right, let's talk about the different things about like whole honoring your commitments and then moving forward. So, like for instance, when you're an entrepreneur or you're doing anything, honestly, in my opinion, if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you kind of only have your own integrity as your currency, right?
True.
Right. So you're building trust. What does trust usually entail in business? It's saying something that you mean, doing what you said,
Right.
right?
It's whatever you are agreeing in any kind of like entrepreneurial, we'll use joint venture partners, JV partnerships. If you agree to do something, you actually do it in the time frame that you agree to, or better yet, you get it done before the agreed deadline.
Exactly. And if something does come up, you you kind of figure out, okay, I can't get it done by the time that I thought I wanted to, right?
Right.
I have to sit, plan, and really clarify the right and the most appropriate time so that you manage expectations to give to the person
True.
so that they also know that You want to do that, you still have to accomplish it, but you understand certain moving parts need to be in place. So like you know what you're doing essentially in order for the person to have a good reason as to why it's delayed.
And it's all about that communication piece. It
Mm-hmm.
really is letting them know what's going on. And it could be something simple like I lost the internet, or something more complicated that comes up. But it's all about keeping the other person informed. And I think that that is a thing, a task, a acknowledgement that we don't do as frequently as what I feel like we should.
It's a skill. It
It's a
really
skill
is a
that we need
skill.
to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a communication skill that not everybody really does learn. That's why it's so it's like it's taking full responsibility of what you can do, what you can't do, and the parts of the things that you don't know how to do, right? And that is so important to clarify with anyone that you're working with. That way you do honor your commitments, but you like that way you navigate together on how to accomplish a goal.
Right.
Um,
And an example on that is I had someone who reached out to me and asked for an affiliate link so they could promote my freebie handout that I do. And I had just changed platforms. So I just finished transferring everything over to a new platform. And the new platform says that it handles affiliates, but it doesn't show me what their affiliate link is supposed to be. So I had assumed that they were going to receive an email from this platform with all of this information. No, they didn't. So now I am in the background getting in contact with the platform, being like, okay, where is this information? How do I find it? How does my joint venture partner find it? Give me all of this information, or I am leaving your platform and going back to the one that I know that works.
wow.
Well, if it doesn't work, why pay for it?
Very fair. And that's so important. Like, I think so. Remember, Katie and I was discussing about how to create like a promo video for one
Yes.
of our episodes, right? And I said that I was going to do the video like, and then post it 3 times before the episode would premiere, right?
That was our plan.
That was our plan. That was our plan. Then I got the files and I was like, crap.
They weren't quite what we expected, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay. I just kind of, thankfully, it was just between Katie and I that I was going to do this. And we didn't inform anybody else. One. Two, it took me about an hour to kind of re-edit the videos in the format that I was looking to put it in. And I did that today. And then I was also observing how much time it was going to take to do that. Thankfully, it's not going to take much longer to finish it. Another thing is kind of like there's just tiny little things about it where you're like, it's not going to look good. Viewers aren't going to see it on this specific device the way that we want it to be perceived.
Yeah, to be clear, the videos are in an excellent format for looking at on YouTube or on a tablet or a large landscape style screen, not
Right.
necessarily on social media, which is a vertical screen.
On your phone, where
Right.
it's like, yeah, exactly. Where it's kind of like when you see a video on your phone, you kind of the best reels are the ones that take up the entire screen.
True.
Right.
Because then
So I was
you
just
could see all the parts and pieces.
yeah, and it was easy for me to reformat, put it in the version that we wanted it to be in, but it wasn't going to make the deadline that we had set for ourselves. And that's okay because thankfully social media, unless you take it down, is on there forever.
Which means that this video will be there forever.
Yeah. And you can see it forever. But I want to get it done as soon as possible. So I got one of the videos done today. And then after this, it'll probably take me 30 minutes or less to do the next one.
Right, because it's always the first one that takes the longest.
Yeah, because we're trying to figure out how it works. Now, now that we know the plan.
Now that we know the plan. And the beauty of it is that what we had received was finished. It
Yep.
had all of the edging, it had all of the
Yep.
intro and outro screens, it had music attached to it. I mean, it really was ready to go, just not quite in the format for social media.
And that's perfectly fine.
Which is still fantastic because we can still use it on I could still put it up on YouTube and all this other kinds of fun stuff.
Exactly.
So it'll still get used, and we still say thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Nicole, who's listening and editing this right now in real time.
We do love
it was
you.
perfect. We do love you. And it was really great because when I saw the file, I was like, okay, I can work with this, which is perfect.
But that's not the only thing that we have that people have given back to us.
Yeah.
On one of the episodes that we did earlier, one of our speakers sent a fantastic thank you message to us in reference to being a guest on the show. And she was within like the first 15 episodes. I don't remember which one it was.
We have so many episodes now.
I know we have so many episodes now. I can't keep track anymore.
It's wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. But the beauty of it is that message, not only because we were talking about social media, it's there forever. So it's great that I was able to like take a snapshot of it and save it to my computer so that way I see it when I want to. But again, there's always something wonderful about getting a thank you message.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think I had a thank you message once upon a time that I gave to a mentor. I talk about her all the time, but I didn't expect, like, I didn't really understand the depth of that thank you to the person. Yeah, because it was like, I'm a product of the diversity initiative that you created within a company. I haven't even met you. This is me 5 years later after accomplishing what your initiative was meant to do. And I am the product of that, right? That is like, that's huge. 5 years later, somebody is like,
yeah, that is huge. To 5 years later have someone come up to you and say, you have made such a profound impact on my life for the positive. I just wanted to take the time to say thank you and to let you know. And that is huge. And it's always nice to get recognized. And I actually heard that a lot of people quit their jobs because they're not recognized by their managers or by people who are higher up in the company. And I just feel kind of sad about that because I think everyone deserves to be recognized, not only for doing a above and beyond fantastic, phenomenal job, but even just everyday stuff. If they're doing their job and they're doing it well, even without going above and beyond, still recognize them for doing a good job at what they're assigned to do. Not everyone has to super exceed the expectations and blow stuff out of the water. There's still got to be someone to maintain the boat.
Yeah, but you know, it is really amazing when somebody still does what they need to do at the baseline.
Yes, it is.
Very well appreciated.
It is very much appreciated. And the fact that I will give an example of this. When I was working in my corporate job, I actually told I guess you would call them the area director, the regional director of my company, that I actually sent a thank you note to another associate because they actually gave me the information that I had requested before the deadline. And they're like, why did you send them a thank you note for actually doing their job? And I'm like, because 95% of the people don't.
That is very real.
And they were flabbergasted by that. So that's why I'm like, I want to make sure that I recognize this person for actually doing what they said they were going to do.
Wow. And you wonder why I said you're a leader. Katie.
I'm still getting used to this whole Katie is a leader thing because I still don't see myself as a leader. It's hysterical because I've been told by so many people that I am.
That very act on its own, the fact that you can appreciate and encourage somebody based off of like the fact that they did something that they were supposed to do, but 95% of people don't do it. And you know that it'll encourage and motivate that type of behavior. That's a leadership skill right there.
It is. And I will admit right now that that is one thing that I'm really good at when it comes to business, but I'm not necessarily that good at it when it comes to relationships. I don't always acknowledge the people in my world for personal relationships when they do something that is very helpful. And I'm trying to get better at that. So, anyone who hears this, who knows me, that I owe you a thank you, I am thanking you now. Because I might not see it in the moment, but I do know that what you do helps out in the long
Oh, that's very kind. You know, I try to do that in my personal relationships all the time, and it used to be the opposite.
That you would always do it with your personal relationships and never in business?
No, opposite.
See, that's where I am. I'm really good for for the building the business relationship. I'm really good at acknowledging someone for doing what they do. And I do admit that I have the fault that in personal relationships, I don't always see what the other person is doing. And therefore, I can't acknowledge it because I'm not seeing it. What I can do is acknowledge what I do see.
And that's important. And then being able to recognize that and appreciate that, that's huge. I think there was this one time. All right. So I was working like at a some type of position at a corporate job as well. And I remember this woman was telling me she was getting bullied and she was almost about to get fired. And I was like, why? You do a freaking amazing job. Just being honest. And I wasn't trying to like
Right.
over what's the word?
To brush aside her comment about being bullied?
Not that. I wasn't like giving false compliments. I was like, seriously,
Oh.
I'm like literally she was a what was it? She was one of the cleaning, I don't even know. She was in facilities and she did a lot of the cleaning on the floor,
Okay.
just making sure everything was clean and like dust free. She went around my desk. It was super clean. I didn't have to like sneeze. That's how clean my desk was.
Oh no, that's impressive.
Right? So when I found this out, I was like, what the? And I like literally thanked her supervisors and like recognized her and commended her on the email saying, thank you. She's been awesome. And I didn't realize that was a way of protecting her.
Well, yeah, that might have helped sway the decisions.
Oh, it
but
did.
again,
Very highly,
but
actually.
again, it's the fact that the higher ups don't know what's going on the ground floor unless they receive thank you notes from other people.
That is really true. I've heard that. I have heard that. So a thank you is very encouraging.
Being higher up in a corporation where you have hundreds upon hundreds of employees, you don't see the day-to-day activities. You don't see the weekly activities. You might get an idea of what the monthly activities are, but only because you're looking at reports, not because you're actually talking to the people doing the work. So thank yous are very important when it comes to recognizing people who go and not only do what they say they're going to do, but get it done in a timely manner. And then, of course, always recognize those that go above and beyond.
Yeah, and quarterly check-ins. If you do have hundreds of employees, it's so important because that actually like that one-to-one 30-minute check-in just to show that you care about them being there and being alive as a person, not just a cog in a wheel. That does a lot.
Yeah, and actually doing that active listening that I know we've talked about on so many prior episodes, because it really paying attention to what the other person is saying also speaks volumes when it comes to being recognized. And that's one of the things that we all want. We all want to be recognized for something.
You want to be seen.
We want to be seen. We want to be heard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real. And like that honoring your commitments thing, you kind of can't do that without the active listening, without seeing the person you're working with.
True.
Right. And this goes for business. This goes also for personal relationships. Honestly, it's like a full spectrum like thing. In my opinion,
it's an everything thing.
It's an everything thing. It's an everything thing. regardless if it's like platonic, romantic, or career based. Like it's just a thing.
Right.
Right. I kind of want to share that, and like there there was this big realization that I had when I was in Costa Rica recently. Right. And it was like somebody mentioned to me that when you aren't listening and you're not actively listening to the conversation with the person in front of you, that usually means you're only out for yourself.
Ooh.
Right? Fascinating.
That is one way to think about it. Yes.
And that was unless you have like really strong ADD and you're like, wait, I'm so sorry, coming back to the focus. Like if you're doing that, that's a different story.
Right.
But that is actually very, very true. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. There is this thing called narcissism, right?
Yeah, there is. And I'm sure
So in
everyone
order,
knows at least one in their lifetime.
yes. So to avoid narcissistic behavior, what do?
You listen to the other person with your full attention.
And you stay present. Yes. That way it's not.
Yeah, okay. Random item going across the screen behind Ace that is buzzed out and we can't see what it is. So okay.
Sorry. Back to topic. We are paying attention to each other for sure now.
Okay.
No,
back
yes,
to narcissist.
seriously. Well, back to avoiding that type of behavior. Stay present and actually listen to the person so that you can figure out how to honor those commitments carefully. When I realized that, I was like, wow, there's a lot of people just out for themselves. And that is a big indicator.
It is. And unfortunately, I think it's just the way that we evolved and were taught, because from in my case anyways, I remember being told you need to learn to multitask.
Who said that?
A boss. I'm just going to say a boss. I'm not going to say which one.
Okay.
You know, but you need to learn to multitask, because otherwise you're not going to get everything that you need to get done in a certain time frame. The problem with multitasking is nothing has your full attention. Everything only has partial attention. So things slip through the cracks, whether this be tasks that you're doing or whether it be part of a conversation that you're supposed to be paying attention to. You end up missing on key details that are important, that we need to recognize and correct. So in my case, like, for example, you can see my hands. It means that I am not on my keyboard. I am not using my mouse. I am not checking the other screen. I'm not checking emails while we're doing the recording, because I'm present right now.
Yes, I am presently here with you as I watch my background too. I honestly believe.
I told you that background was going to be a distraction, but that's okay.
It's a comic relief today. Yes. I honestly, but all right. So when I hear multitasking, that the version of multitasking that you're talking about, I'm like, to me, that's not multitasking. To me, that's distracting yourself. In my opinion,
okay,
true multitasking is focusing on one thing to its completion, like the one task, but you put them in bite-sized tasks, right? And then you're able to focus completely on completing that small bite-sized task and then switching gears to the next bite-sized task that might be a different project. That to me is multitasking.
And that makes sense if you were taught how to take a task and break it down to the granular aspects, so you can literally focus on one little baby step at a time. Yeah. That was not a skill I was taught back then. That is a skill I am learning now.
That's great. Yeah. And that's a great skill. Like, so honoring your commitments, that skill right there, the one to like break things down to a granular and understand where the expectation is going to go and how much you can get something done. Right. That is a building block to honoring your commitments, in my opinion.
And being honest about what availability you have on your plate is another thing that goes a lot towards honoring your commitments, because you don't want to accept a task that has a deadline of tomorrow when you know the only way to accomplish that is if you don't get any sleep.
Exactly. And like another thing is somebody was like, hey, could you take a look at this for me? And I was like, not yet. Because one, it wasn't today, but something happened where my time was not allotted and I needed to take bereavement time. It was not available, right?
Right.
And it was so interesting how like somebody thought that they could put this on my plate, and then once I mentioned and very honestly communicated, I can't because of this. One.
Mm-hmm.
And two, we were still negotiating terms on my contract. So no.
Ooh, that's very amazing awareness, because I know that I've never had, well, I can't say never, but I had not thought of that before on other joint venture partnerships that I've done with people, to where they've kind of snuck something in before the terms were agreed upon.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty firm on that one. Because like I think without them realizing it, they're being disrespectful.
I agree. I don't think that they're aware. I think it's just one of those things that they're just honestly looking for your opinion because they value your opinion, not realizing that it could have this other aspect or quote unquote taste to it.
So honoring your commitments also, right? It means that you agreed upon the terms, right? And then you follow through, and then the follow through is sealed with a bow when you're done.
Yep.
That
And
isn't
honoring
that isn't
commitments and honoring commitments is honoring your boundaries as well.
exactly the moment anyone's boundaries are not honored within a consensual agreement to these commitments is when a conversation needs to be had.
Yes.
If the conversation isn't had, you cannot ask for more, ever, in my opinion.
Well, that okay, I'm going to argue. You can ask, you're just probably going to get the answer of no.
Either no, or you're going to breach trust,
Or you're going to
and then
breach trust.
and whatever contract that was possible has now been closed.
True. That is always a result as well.
Yeah, understanding. So it's funny. A lot of people are like, "But what if I want this, this, and that? Why can't I have what I want?"
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that's the case. It's just that it has to be discussed and agreed upon first before you automatically go up and ask for A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It needs to be in a conversation as to, hey, I would like to include this as part of our agreement.
Yes, but let's talk about. I love how commitment is turning into this whole trifold of here are the different components of honoring your commitments and how to even create one to begin with.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Why do you think you can't just go in and just say, I want X, Y, and Z?
Well, if someone came to me and said they want X, Y, and Z, my response would be, okay, good for you.
I love see.
I mean, you can demand anything, but you have to be open to conversation and discussion as to what's possible. Because someone could come up to me and demand $1 million. Good for you. You can demand $1 million from me all you want. Guess what? It's not in the bank account at this moment. You ain't going to get it from me. You can go get it from somebody else. Go for it. I wish you
You
lots of
can
luck.
give me $1 million,
Yeah,
and
you
then
can
I can
give it to me. I'll
I
take
can
it
give
off
it
your
back to you in a
hands.
month.
I'll gladly take $1 million off of somebody else's hands for a while.
Right?
But so demanding something isn't going to get you anywhere.
No, but there is something about it. So the thing is, in order for you to say, I want X, Y, and Z, what are you giving?
That's true. If you start with your give, I am willing to give you A, B, C, D in exchange for this is what I want. The person knows the value that you are giving and the value that you are asking for. And so then
And
that way they can make a decision.
I've actually learned it works also vice versa.
Oh, to demand what you want first and then say you're going to give XYZ as long as you show the value on both sides?
Yeah. especially when you've been giving.
Well, yeah, okay. If you are a permanent giver, then I could see it working both ways.
It does, but you just have to understand your value that way.
Right.
And if the person that you're giving to, right, they have to know that that's some type of exchange for the future. You have to give them that verbal understanding, like, hey, here, you can have a free this. And then after that, let's see if we want to work together. Let's see if we want to work together is the next reciprocity there.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that the discussion today will inspire you to take positive action in your life. Until next week, be empowered.